In 1950, America was on top of the world. World War II had just come to a close 5 years prior, the economy was booming, and veterans were coming home to start families. But the opposite could be said for African Americans during this time period. Public schools, bathrooms, and transportation were all segregated, meaning there were separate facilities based on skin color. And like the rest of the country during this time, some of America's favorite pastimes were also separated by race, one in particular being basketball.
Hey man, who's that cat coming down the street?
I don't know, but it sounds to me like that's just the man with the ball.
One of the most popular basketball teams in the late 1940s was the Harlem Globetrotters. Due to their fast-paced play and hilarious antics on the court, the Harlem Globetrotters quickly became an international sensation and sold out arenas across the country. The origins of the Globetrotters began in 1926, when a man by the name of Abe Saperstein was introduced to the members of an all-black semi-pro team called the Savoy Five, hired by the Savoy Hotel to attract young people to the hotel's ballroom. Eventually, the team was fired, but Saperstein offered to become the team's new manager. Although the team originated in Chicago, Abe and his father designed uniforms with New York stitched on the front because Saperstein felt that it would be easier to book games if people thought they came all the way from Manhattan to play. The team saw early success, winning 100 of their first 105 games against local Midwest teams. But despite the talent Saperstein's roster possessed, people in attendance were more enamored by their skin color, leading Saperstein to change the team name from the Savoy Five to the Harlem Globetrotters, inspired by the Harlem Renaissance. In 1947, the public perception was that even though the Globetrotters were one of the most entertaining teams, they wouldn't be able to compete with the all-white teams of the NBA. However, this all changed in 1947 and 48 when the Harlem Globetrotters took down the NBA champion Minneapolis Lakers. During this same time period, NBA team owners would oftentimes schedule Harlem Globetrotter games after their team's games to attract more fans, inching those team owners closer and closer to integration. 1950 was the first year that African Americans were allowed to play in the NBA. One of those first black basketball players in the NBA was a member of the Harlem Globetrotters. His name was Nathaniel Clifton. Clifton is credited as the first African American to sign a contract with an NBA team, signing with the New York Knicks in 1950. On April 25, 1950, a man by the name of Chuck Cooper became the first black player drafted into the NBA. He was drafted by the Boston Celtics in the second round. Despite the eventual criticism he would receive from the rest of the NBA, Celtics owner Walter Brown became the first owner to draft a black player into the league. When questioned about the choice of Cooper in the second round, Celtics owner Walter Brown was quoted as saying, "I don't give a damn if he's striped, plaid, or polka dot." The last of the trio was a man named Earl Lloyd. On October 31st, 1950, Earl Lloyd became the first black man to play in an NBA game. Earl Lloyd was picked in the 9th round of the 1950 draft when he was 21 years old by the Washington Capitals. After Earl wrapped up his 9-year playing career in the NBA, he became the first full-time black head coach in 1970. Nowadays, there are numerous ways for players of all races and ethnic backgrounds to make a positive change in their communities. Players have a larger platform than ever before to inspire through social media, and there are charities that are set up by NBA Cares to help people who are hungry, homeless, or diagnosed with life-threatening diseases. There are even youth basketball camps set up in some third world countries for the children who don't have the luxury of going to the park and playing basketball. But none of this would be possible without the three pioneers of the hardwood breaking the NBA color barrier in 1950, which would not only benefit the African American athletes of their time, but also future generations of young black men in America.